Hi guys, Chris here, and you're watching Here We Are Running, and welcome to the channel on Thursday evening here in the UK for a training chat. So I haven't done a live stream where I haven't been running on Zwift for a while now. So I thought I'd as part of this whole ultra marathon training, the North Downs Way 50 that I'm training for, I thought it would be great to have a bit of a training chat and to have it with someone else that is also taking part in the North Downs Way 50. So over there, you should be able to see Dan from Dan Runs. Hi, Dan.
Hi, how you doing, Chris?
Good. So Dan's joined me tonight, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about how our training is going. Would welcome everyone to check out Dan's channel after you've watched this, if you're not familiar with his channel as well. And you'll probably enjoy watching his videos. I know I do. I've followed his channel for a long time. And we're going to have a chat about our training, but would welcome any questions that you have about our training, about running in general. Drop them into the chat, and in a little while we'll go through them and try to answer some of them. So I can see that a few of you have already joined. We've got Ben, we've got Mark already commented in the chat. Ben, thanks very much for that. And Kim's with us as well. Hello, Kim, all the way from Denmark. So let's get started. So Dan, some of the people probably watching this may not be familiar with you yet, and so give us a little bit of a background about your running journey, how long you've been running for, what sort of running you've been doing up until now, and just a little bit of background before we sort of start talking about the training.
Sure. I started my YouTube channel the same time I started my running journey. That was back in April 2018, and the idea there was to train and run my first marathon from cold, basically. I was a non-runner before. So I trained for my first marathon. It was a Brighton Marathon. Throughout that process, I came across your channel because you had also done the Brighton Marathon. So I used your video as inspiration. That's how we first sort of ended up being connected, if you like. After that experience, I went on to my second marathon the following year. And thereafter, I decided that I'd tackle my first ultra. In between times, I did a marathon in my front room, in my living room, on a piece of carpet for NHS to raise some money there. And last year was my longest race to date, and that was a 40 miler. In between all of those, I did a few local races as well, 5Ks, 10Ks. I've shared a couple of courses with you. So overall, not a significant amount of experience, but I'd say sort of a breadth of experience across the distances over the last nearly 3 years now.
So we're both kind of approaching this this particular race, the North Downs Way 50, from a sort of similar starting point, I guess. We've both done a few marathons. We've both done, I think I'm right in saying we've both done one ultra marathon distance, but lower distance than what we're going to be doing here. So I did a 50k run on my own back last summer, and yours was 40 miles. Is that right?
Yeah, I did a 40 mile, and more recently, last November, I did a 50k.
You've done a 50k as well, okay?
With Ben, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that now. So 50 miles is going to be a bit of a step up for us both, and we both started training right at the beginning of the year. But we're probably approaching it a little bit differently, to which is probably normal, really. Everyone has their own approaches. So what would you say your approach is? Do you have a plan? Are you following a sort of rigid plan for this? How have you sort of approached the whole training aspect of it?
It's been interesting for me because I came up with this idea of a plan, and I looked on the internet and I wanted to try and put something together which I felt would work around my life and around my work schedule, because at the end of the day, you can look at different people, and for a short while at the start, I'll be honest, I looked at sort of how you were approaching it. I started thinking, am I doing it right? Am I not? And then I realized we're both in different spaces. We're both doing things differently. We both have different schedules. So I had this idea of a plan. I put it together, and week by week, I've adapted it, and I've increased the miles as I felt I needed to. The more videos I've watched of other people who have run the race, and other ultra runners, I've started to realize that focusing on some of the skills involved and focusing on some of the sessions is sometimes more important than volume. So whilst my volume week by week hasn't been that significant, 40, 50 miles sometimes, which is not a huge amount, I've tried to sort of reassure myself actually what I'm doing is quality, and perhaps quantity at the early stage may have resulted in injury. So I'm finding my feet with as I go along. I'm a third of the way in now, and I can start to either bump the mileage up or have more confidence in my body and how it's responding. So I was a little bit tentative, I think, coming sort of off the back of last year. Hadn't really done too much running, and then straight into kind of a cold, not only just the conditions, but just with my legs as well, trying to start this ultra journey. So that's really been me. I'm being flexible. I'm also appreciating that life does get in the way and I can only do what I can do. I have a full-time job. So yeah, we'll just go week by week, zero pressure, and just being accountable to try and get as much in as I possibly can within reason.
That's a good one. And I think the difference I'm taking on this is that I actually haven't really got a plan. So I've got a strategy more than a plan. That the strategy is that I looked at the things that I needed to really do differently to how I was training for previous distances, and one of the key ones I felt was to run more, to do more base building, really, especially in the early stages. So I've upped, as you've probably seen, I've upped my distance that I'm running every week quite considerably, pretty early on, really, and I've not focused on speed hardly at all in it. I've done a bit of speed for fun, but not anything as really part of the training. It's all been, for me, it's all been about increasing the volume and then doing that at a really easy pace. Again, like you said, so that we avoid getting injured. And the one thing I think that is really key for this particular race is it's quite hilly. For anyone that's not from the area of the country that we live in, or even this country, the race we're going to go on is quite hilly. It's got, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 quite steep climbs in it. We're not talking mountains here or anything, guys, but we are talking hills. And if you're used to doing most of your running on the flat, then this is quite a difference. So, I would say that at the moment I'm trying to do 50 to 60 miles of volume per week, knowing that the race is 50 miles. I want to get to a position where I might be doing the equivalent amount of elevation in a week that I know we're going to have to do for the race. And I haven't got really very close to that yet, even though I'm doing a lot more elevation than originally than I would have normally have done. And yeah, so, and I think we've all been kind of limited a little bit up until now. Hopefully things are changing with the weather here. It feels like spring's kind of really hit this week, doesn't it? But we've certainly been challenged a little bit with the cold weather, the wet weather, the cold weather, the frozen ground and everything. And it's particularly getting out on the trails has been quite difficult. How have you found that, Dan?
Yeah, it's been more problematic than I expected. However, the weather in general has been better than in previous years. So I went on the trails, is it last weekend, the weekend before that? And I found the ground was very, very hard. And whilst it was a good experience to get out on the trails, I did feel like it was definitely not as pleasant on the bones as I would have liked. Although it does give you that extra sort of level of confidence, because at the end of the day, we're kind of the mid-pack runners, we're amateur runners, and we're going to give it the best shot we possibly can. And that means that kind of within the parameters of what we're able to do based on experience and based on kind of our goals, there's a limit to what we can physically do within the week. And I think for me, yeah, once we get onto the trails, once things open up a bit more, that confidence, that sort of internal belief will take over. And that's what I found my last ultra, that whilst I might not have had the speed, and we mentioned speed before, what I did have was the understanding of the route, the experience on the route, and was able to sort of mentally move to that distance from where I've been before.
Yeah, and I think it is about that. And we're not really going for a time, are we? I don't think either of us are going for a time. We're going there to finish it. That's our main focus. And the key part of finishing this sort of distance, when it's not something you've really done before, it's all about endurance. We got to have the endurance to run for a long time, and and finish it within the cut-offs. You know, there are a number of aid stations along the route, and there are cut-offs for each one. So we want to be inside those cut-offs and do it. And it's probably worth also mentioning for everyone out there that's watching that we did get a bit of news this week. Well, everyone got a bit of news this week, but also we got a bit of news from the race organisers. So for those of you that aren't in England, our Prime Minister Boris had an announcement earlier in the week, and as a result of that announcement, and if everything does go to plan, it looks like events will be coming back on in enough time for when we're doing this ultra. So I think it's the 22nd of May, and it looks likely at the moment. Let's put it that way, and fingers crossed and everything. We all know everything can change, but at the moment it's looking quite good for that. And so yeah, some positive stuff there. Let's just see who's in the chat. There's a load of chat going on, which I haven't been following at all. I don't know if you have, Dan, but let's.
No, I can't see it, so I haven't been following.
Oh right, okay, no problem. I will. I'll have a little look. Who's there? And so we've got Mark, we've got Ben, we've got Kim, we've got Running Crazy, who said they were first. I don't think they were first. We got Chris, that running guy, and we've got Laura, we've got we've got Andy, Forestine runner there. Stephen Smith's joined us. Right, just now trying to look out to see if we've got any questions coming in already, because if I don't look now, I'll lose them all. Okay. So guys, do remember, if you've got any questions, drop them in the chat.
I'll also just jump in and say that Centurion Running, who are putting on this event, during the last lockdown, they actually ran a number of events. So in terms of being COVID secure, they already have everything in place, which, as you were sort of alluding to, the announcement that they personally made was really good for us. And because we're further into May, I think the time frame will allow everything to fall into a place. 250 entrants available, and having looked at the entry list, majority are quite local. The ones from further afield may or may not turn up. We don't know what that will look like, but there may well be a waiting list for spaces. But ultimately, it does look like the training we're doing is leading towards something, which I know a lot of people sort of are struggling with at the moment, not knowing whether the event they're training for is actually going to go ahead.
And it makes a big difference, that, doesn't it? You know, to your training. Up until this week, I was just thinking, I just really hope that by then the race is going to be on. Otherwise, we've done all this training and to be let down. At the moment, I'd say the balance is in our favour at the moment, and we know it can change, but let's just hope it keeps going in a positive way. And as you say, that you know, I do feel for these event organisers. They've had a horrible time of it. I know some personally, and they have really had a horrible time during this, and you know, it must be really, really tough for them, and particularly now, even now that they know that they should be able to put these races on. There's a lot of organising that they've got to do, particularly for a kind of ultra like this that goes across a large distance. They've got to get permissions from various councils, landowners, etc. All of that stuff. It's good that they got all the experience from last year, but there's a lot of work still to do to put the race on. Right, there is some questions, and the first one that I can see there is from Ben. And he's asking me, he must know the answer for you, Dan, already. But he's asking me, what shoes am I going to be wearing for the race? Well, okay, there's kind of a question that or a topic that I was going to discuss a bit on this, actually, because I've started to realise that there are things that I already have, gear-wise, that I will probably use on the race. And there are things that I actually might need to invest in, and the things that I've got might not be suitable. And shoes could be one of those things. I don't know yet. So at the moment, because the trails are so muddy, I've got one pair of trail shoes, and I just wear those at the moment on the trails because it's so muddy. And the trail shoes I've got, they're the Speedcross Salomon Speedcross 4s. they're still good to go for quite a while yet. Now they're great at the moment because they've got big lugs on them, and that's ideal on muddy trails. In May, I don't think the conditions going to be like that at all. I mean, I've already been out on the trails this week, and the mud that we had 2 weeks ago, it's already starting to dry up in places. And because particularly around where I am, it's all clay. It gets very, very wet and sticky, muddy when it's raining. And when it's dry, it dries up and it gets really, really firm. To the point that I may well run in road shoes if it's not soft ground, because I've done that before. In fact, when I run on the North Downs Way in the summer, that's what I do. I run on road shoes. So there isn't really an exact answer to your question yet, Ben, because I'm still contemplating it. And I think we'll check the conditions nearer the time. I would probably hoped that it's dry enough to be able to wear road shoes on it and get some road shoes that are reasonably comfortable for that length of distance. But what about you, Dan? What shoes are you thinking that you might run in on race day?
So one thing I actually say on this is, so my ultra did last year. I was naive, I believe. I turned up. I couldn't believe the amount of people that had Nike Next percents on, and I thought, am I at the right race? Because I just hadn't thought about that. Of course, those are the people that are chasing for a position, chasing for a time. But of course, the trails are dry, and they just went at pace, and that would work for them. For me, I'm focusing on comfort over that length of time. So I've got the Hoka ATR 6s. I really like the 5, but that seems to be a bit of a distant memory now. I'm not going to get any of those anymore. So I've got the ATR 6s, very comfortable. Quite a heavy shoe, not particularly fast shoe, I doubt, for somebody who's quite rapid. But I know that at 30 miles, they're going to be comfortable. I don't necessarily want to gamble on a road shoe, which might be lighter and built for speed. Do I really want my feet just feeling like I'm slapping the floor at sort of 35 miles? Probably not. So I've gone with the Hoka ATR 6s. That's probably going to be my shoe. I'm going to train in it. And as long as it feels as good as it feels right now, that will be the shoe on the day. I don't actually have a specific pair of road shoes because I haven't done a road marathon or road effort for such a long time. So they are classed as kind of a breed that goes across both.
Yeah, they don't have really deep lugs or anything, do they? They've got grip, but that's probably ideal for this sort of race, really. Anyhow, because we've got some of it that will be on pavement or road, as well as the trails. So yeah, sounds like a good choice. Right, what else have we got? Who else is asking questions that we need to answer? So Andy's asking about gels. So this is another area where I haven't focused enough on nutrition yet, and I definitely need to. I mentioned it in my vlog last week. I think, I've fallen foul of that before, where I just run out of energy during a long run. I felt it a bit during the 20 miler I did last weekend, and I did take gels with that. But I think that was more about not being prepared enough before the run rather than what I was doing on the run. So I will look into gels. I'm also thinking, this is probably solid food, to be honest, as well. There are aid stations. They should be stocked with lots of nice food. So I'm starting to think I'll have some gels if I need it, but actually I'll probably use the food that they're going to have at the aid stations, along with I'm probably going to give Tailwind a try, Dan, and you're quite experienced in that, so I'm going to give it a try. I've never had it before. Normally for fluid I take electrolytes, but that's got kind of nutrition and hydration all built into one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got all the sort of calorific content that you need. I mean, the stats on the website, but per sachet has X amount of calories and the electrolytes to keep you going. And people do use it solely for ultras. I have always, anything over 5K, I just have a Tailwind and I just take a sip every kilometre. And that just keeps things moving. I have the gels as extra. I like to be self-sufficient, and probably for the ultra, I'll try to be as self-sufficient as I can, just because you can't be certain what the food will be like, and it's the quickest way to to get yourself off the course and into the trees.
That's a good point,
Pretty
actually. I
unwell,
hadn't
I
thought of
think,
that.
if you gamble, because also if we assume that things do sort of ease up a little bit, you still can't be sure whether the sort of the COVID situation will allow it to have opened food. It'll probably be packeted, sealed
Wrapped
food,
up,
and if
yeah.
it's whatever they get given, I know Centurion Running tends to have Tailwind there as an option, but solid food, I don't know. I try my best to take everything I can with me. You are carrying more, but at the end of the day, you've tried it and it works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Wise words. So running crazy, is that Lee?
It's Lee.
Yeah. Okay. So Lee is saying, how am I getting on with the double days? I'm actually getting on really well with the double days. I'm doing at least 2 double days a week now. It tends to be the Tuesday and Wednesday normally. It's just allowing me to get more distance and volume into the week. And so, yeah, I did it again this week. Did a run, I think, on Tuesday breakfast time, and then another one either at lunchtime or the evening, and similarly on Wednesday. So it's, yeah, I'm finding it quite good. Because as Dan mentioned, it is difficult when you're working full time to find the time to do those runs. So just splitting the run up into 2 and doing it at different parts of the day. And it's also a little bit running on tired legs and getting used to that. I find that helps. And yeah, so I'm going to carry that on. Often when I'm doing that, it's on the treadmill. At least one of the runs in the day is probably on the treadmill. Well, actually, it's definitely, because we're only allowed out once a day at the moment. So it's often both runs on the treadmill, or one outside and one on the treadmill. But yeah, going really well at the moment. Any plans to sort of introduce double days at some stage, Dan?
Yeah, I was just waiting for the light to really be there. I'm normally in work at sort of 7 a.m. So for me, in order to get that sort of double in, I'm going to need to up early. And it's probably just going to be a 5K, maybe running to work or running home. But I just needed to wait for the conditions to improve enough, which they have in the last few weeks. Didn't want to be doing it in the ice, didn't want to be doing it in the dark. And yeah, it's definitely going to be something that I introduce. And I think probably in the next few weeks, you'll start to see those. And I'll just start easy and then maybe be able to increase the mileage depending on how it goes.
And so Andy's followed it up with a question about fueling and okay, gels. Right, gels. Okay. At the moment, I've got SIS gels. I'm trying to remember those other gels, Andy, that you use that I have tried before, because they're actually quite good. Sorry?
The Unived gels?
That's it. Yeah. I'll probably give those a go once I've used up my SIS gels. Can't remember why I bought the SIS gels. It was because I was in need of gels for some run I was doing, and I left it like really late. Like I only had 2 days before the run, and I suddenly realised actually I need some gels on this, and the only ones I could get at that short notice were SIS gels on Amazon, next day delivery. So that's why I've got a pack of them at the moment. But once they've gone, I'll probably go back to the Unived. Right. Right, so Chris, that running guy, is asking, how's my body holding up with the 60-mile weeks? It's doing fine. 50 to 60 miles has now become the norm, which is a big step up from a year ago. Probably 40 was the max I would be doing then. So yeah, 50 to 60 has become the norm. It'll probably get up to 60 this week, I think. I'm already up to, about almost 50 kilometers so far this week, and going out tomorrow for and getting in some elevation in tomorrow on a 12 kilometer mainly trail run. So I'm going to try and wake up early and do that first thing, and then go out for another long run, hopefully around 20 miles again. So yeah, the volume at the moment is doing fine, and it's because I built that up over a period of time, even before this training block started. And as you'll have seen, most of the running is really easy pace. You know, I'm just keeping the heart rate low a lot of the time, and just introducing a bit of speed every now and then, more for fun. And when the heart rate goes up, it's mainly on the hills. You know, unless you walk the hills, and I think, you know, I don't know about you, Dan, but I'm definitely walking the hills during the race.
Yep.
But I'm
every hill.
But I'm trying to run them on my training runs, especially if it's only like a 10k type training run. I'll run them, and this week definitely getting it in, focusing quite a lot on elevation this week, and hoping to see quite an increase in elevation at the end of the week across all the runs I've been doing. But yeah, I think walking the hills during the race is a really important thing to do when it's your first 50 miler like it is for us.
Yeah, and that's why we've spoken about it before, you know, kind of off air, but about getting on the course and seeing what it's like. And I was feeding back to you that actually that first part, the Farnham part to Guildford, I felt was pretty runnable. A couple of small hills, but nothing too major, which means you can sort of get into the run early on. And that should hopefully mean that when those big hills come around, you've got the energy to be able to sort of walk them even at pace. Like I said, we're going to be mid-pack people, so we're not going to be sprinting up there. There will be people doing that, and it's phenomenal to watch when they fly by you. Hurts your self-esteem slightly, but at the end of the day, they're a different sort of level of runner. And yeah, I think walking the hills is sensible. And if you've got the energy left in the last 10 miles, similar to a marathon, save it up. And if you've got it left, then you can go. And if you're still finding it difficult, then it's okay to walk a bit further thereafter.
Yeah, because we don't really know when fatigue is going to hit. I'm sure it will at some stage. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. And, you know, I think, yeah, walking the hills is a definite sensible thing to do. Chris is asking me what percentage of my running is done on the treadmill. So I would say in terms of number of runs, it's probably about 50-50. 50% of them are done inside on the treadmill, 50% outside. In terms of distance during the week, more of the volume is done outside, purely because the long run is done outside. So it's probably more 60-40 or 65-35, something like that split in terms of volume. But yeah, probably doing half of the actual runs on the treadmill. And that's because some of them are double run days. It's just so easy to work around other commitments when it's just sort of sitting over there in the corner and just get on it. Like I did tonight before this, it wasn't time to go outside for a run. So I just went on the treadmill for a 10K. Right. What else have we got? We've got lots of questions, lots of comments coming in. Okay, so Sean is asking, how many miles per week will you be running at the peak of your training? Are the legs holding up as you're increasing the mileage? So I'm going to say for this one, I'm not really sure. All because, as I said a little while ago, I don't have a plan. So my plan isn't telling me, normally when you have a plan, you better toss up the number of runs and the distance that you said you're going to run in it, and it's going to give you the total distance for the week. As I said, I'm kind of working to a strategy where I'm trying to build it up. I'd be surprised if I went over 70 miles in a week. I know I want to get, in terms of long runs, I want to increase them, but probably putting in maybe one 50k run? I don't know. Dan, what's your view? I mean, you've got a plan. What's your plan saying the longest run is?
Yeah. So my longest run I plan to be 50k, so 30 miles or so, or just over. But equally, I'm looking to see if perhaps if I do it a second 50k, which I might well do, is intentionally spend more time on feet. So it won't just be a pure run of the 50k. It will be put me in a position so that I've run 50, 60% of it, and then I'm walking the rest. So I might be out in total for 8 hours, just because that experience of being out there. And it's going to be more of a hike and just sort of enjoying the landscape because it's a nice trail. But just to know that actually, when the weather starts to improve, what am I like at 7 hours in the heat? What do I need? What am I lacking? So the aim is to do that. And I also want to, I think in terms of the weekly mileage, I'm not entirely sure myself, but I would go with the 50k, and then the following day, the Sunday, putting in then another effort on tired legs. So the idea is throughout the week to build up to being able to do the 30 miles on a Saturday, let's say 5 to 10 miles on a Sunday, and whatever my legs need to do in the build up to that is what probably one of my peak weeks will look like.
Yeah, and I've noticed already you've had some weekends where you run both days, haven't you? And I've done the same. I've not done really long distance on both days, but quite often the long runs come on the Saturday for me. I'm trying to get them done on the Saturday, and if I've done that, then I'll put a 10k or maybe a little bit more in on the Sunday, just to again be running on those tired legs. Something that I'm doing in this training block, which I wouldn't have normally done. Normally if I was doing marathon training or lower distance, I would normally do the long run and then have the rest day the day after. But I think it's more important for this to be doing some of that running on tired legs, always looking after yourself, but we got to try and get that feeling into us, really, and get the legs coping with it.
Yeah, and it's also kind of finding a balance. I suppose one thing that I was a little bit cautious of early on, and maybe too cautious, was just making sure that I wasn't going to fall into an injury. And so that's where maybe being a little bit apprehensive, maybe holding back a tad, but want to be able to have some really successful long runs and not feel like I've done a huge amount of mileage throughout the week and I get to the weekend and ultimately it suffers, when that is the long run is going to be key to success at the end of the day. And yeah, low intensity as well. I didn't mention earlier, but near enough all of my runs are very low intensity, far slower pace than normal, but that is my, if you like, kind of race pace. No faster than 6 minutes per kilometre throughout the race is the aim.
What have I done there? Oh no. I might have cut us off accidentally. Hang on. Or I might have just have lost the monitor. Right, I don't know what I did there. It looks like everyone's still there. Oh, maybe not.
Woo!
No, maybe not. We're not moving, are we? It wouldn't be one of my live streams if I didn't have a technical issue in the middle of it. You are still you still here? We can still see you. Don't worry. Right, okay.
At least we didn't say anything silly.
Well, you learned something new about YouTube. Else. I shut down the window, but luckily it carried on streaming. Like completely shut down the window, not just minimized it. I just completely shut it down. It's because I've got too many things in front of me. I'm looking something up on a different computer now. So bear with me a minute. Because I need to know this for one of the other questions that's come in.
Sure. Well, shall I just fill the void and talk about, obviously the great thing about what we do on YouTube is that we will be documenting that day. So I'm really looking forward to the end result and knowing that there'll be 2 sort of mini films, if you like, of what our experience is. And I'm sure during the race, we'll see each other at points. I don't know whether it'll be a staggered start or not. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I think it'll be really, really great to be able to look back on this in a year, 2, 3 years, 5 years time, and just see what that was like. And we've got this great journey. We've been fortunate enough to be able to continue training during this period of time, and we are limited with where we can go and what we can do, but we've been able to get that done. And I think it's going to sort of just finalize it all with a great little mini documentary for both of us. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an advantage of doing YouTube and having a running YouTube channel. You get to record the races and that you do, and you get to look at back at them afterwards. Right. The question was, I'm not even sure who asked it now, but the question was about elevation, how much elevation we plan to be doing in a week during the training. And what I was doing was I was looking up the amount of elevation that we actually have to do on the day. So on the day, it is 1,700 meters of elevation in total, which is 5,600 feet, which is quite a lot for someone that's probably not used to that. So at the moment, I've managed to make my training weeks more than 1,000 meters of elevation gain. But what I'd like to be doing, similar to what I'm kind of doing at the moment, where I am doing sort of 50 to 60 mile weeks for a 50-mile race, I'd like to be doing in a week, getting it up to 1,700 meters of elevation gain. We'll see. I don't know. I've seen this week, as I said, I'm focusing quite heavily on elevation. So we'll see what the total is at the end of the week, and whether it gets anywhere near that. But what about you, Dan? Have you got sort of elevation built into your plan, or is it more just about the distance?
Yeah, I found a route that I did relatively recently. It was about half marathon distance, and it was just sort of running around the local trails, the same trails we went on for the hardest snails race, and that was about 500 meters of elevation within that one session. So I was quite reassured by that. It's nice to know I've got a place that I can go to. There's a little bit of looping backwards and forwards, but in terms of weekly, the issue I have is there's nothing really local to me, immediately local, that I would be able to get any elevation on. So I'd have to travel, and obviously we can travel locally, but I wouldn't want to push that too much. And also, if I'm doing it in the evening after work, it's likely that the light is going to fade. I need to be on the trail, so it's a bit of a tricky one. Most elevation is probably going to come in the shape of the long runs for me, and that will be however many 100 meters I can get, but it's unlikely to be a consistent one every single week just because of where I live.
Sure. And Chris, that running guy, was asking you, Dan, he was asking about your weekly mileage that you're looking to get to, which I think you kind of covered off when you said about the 50k and run that you plan to do.
It's tricky. I'm really happy with how it's going so far, and I think I can step it up probably to in that sort of, like you say, maybe 60, 70 mile. I'd love to be that person that can commit to a 100-mile week. It'd be excellent. But I think if I do that, I want to have some really good sessions. I don't want to be squeezing in 5k here, 5k there. I'd like to get some decent, solid kind of mid to long runs in to build that mileage up, rather than just sporadic bits throughout the week.
Yeah, and something for me that is going to be a challenge coming up quite soon, actually. We'll see how this goes, because all of the training that we've done so far has been in lockdown. And we both work. But for myself, with kids, they've obviously have just been in the home doing no activities, nothing, no school runs, nothing like that. And that all changes in, starting from a week and a bit. So I don't know how that's going to affect my training. It's gonna have an impact, because it did before once the schools opened up again. So it's going to just be harder, I think, to fit the runs in. I've got more flexibility at the moment, and that's the challenge I'm going to have is just fitting everything in, because we are doing or spending quite a lot of time out there running.
I think life, like I said, I mentioned to you earlier off air, so I'm yet to do my run today. So think about the time, the UK time, let's say I go out at 9 o'clock at night, I've got to kind of factor in, is that a quality session at 9 o'clock at night? Am I going to really get the benefit of that? If I move it to tomorrow, then I'm basically taking away what would have been a rest day. And then I've got a long run on Saturday, which was planned to be kind of like 20 miles. So all these things are flying around your head and you're just trying to be as committed as possible. You want to be accountable to a plan of sorts. You don't really want to be that person who just keeps putting runs off. But then, yeah, family gets in the way. Let's say in the way, family has to be considered, otherwise you end up without one. And the same with the job. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I think we just do our best and don't put any pressure on ourselves. If we need to just take a day, take a day.
It's definitely one of the challenges that you have, I think, when you're training for something like this. So John's making a point there. He's got a friend that completed an ultra, and at the end of the ultra training, his friend went out and did a 10k race and took 3 minutes off his time. And it's really interesting that, because I've already noticed by the increase in volume that I've been doing, as I say, pretty much all easy pace, except for a few times where I went out for fun and ran a fast something. Yeah, so I've done some fast 5Ks, and I've taken a huge amount of time off of my 5K time with no 5K specific training, just by upping the volume. And I am quite interested to see what happens at the end of all this training block. And the rest of my year is kind of I'm coming down in distance. So after the ultra, there'll be a bit of a gap then, but I'm doing a marathon in October, and then I plan to do 10k towards the end of the year. I'm hoping that by doing the volume of training that we're doing at the moment, or going to be doing for the ultra, that it really does help with some of the shorter distances and actually, maintain those fitness levels. It certainly seems to be pointing in that direction at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. We touched a little bit on gear, Dan. What is there any other gear that you think you need to buy for the race day?
Well, it's in May. I know the kit requirements, we have to have the waterproof jacket. That may or may not exist depending on what the weather is like. Head torch, again, assuming we start early doors, the cutoff's 13 hours. If you start at 7 a.m, how dark will it be? I don't know, but that might be something I need to consider, a better head torch if I'm out on the trails. I'm pretty happy with everything else I've got. I think vest, shorts. I've got to buy a collapsible cup. But otherwise, I'm pretty much at the moment training in the gear that I plan to use on the day. So I'm keeping it pretty consistent, and would perhaps maybe buying a couple of new soft flasks for my vest just to make sure they are ready to go, and I get some testing done on those, because that at the end of the day is going to be a real pain if they split and leak. It's just the worst.
Yeah, there isn't a huge amount of kit we need, is there? We don't. I was looking at that as well. It's I haven't got a waterproof jacket. I'm going to have to buy one of them. So that's one of the things I'm going to have to look out for. And it will be a bit annoying if it's it won't be a bit annoying, but I'll have spent money on the jacket, and then it will be a completely dry May summer day, won't it? But I think we'll have to carry it anyway, won't we? And yeah, head torch, I definitely need to get one of them. But again, we should be finishing before it gets dark, shouldn't we? I
hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. So it's kind of like we're going to be carrying these things that we're never really going to use.
Yeah, I think if we're still out there when it's really dark, we haven't got a medal or a finisher t-shirt. We may as well just get the bus home.
Starts really early in the morning, but it will get light really early by the time it starts, and it's a 13-hour cutoff. So yeah, it's not going to be dark by the 13-hour cutoff. So why do you need a head torch? I don't know, but that's the rules. Okay. Yeah, Ben's saying about reality hitting. Yeah, going back to schools. Yeah. Yeah, Zeph's crazy though, isn't he? Zeph's manages to do serious distance, but he I'd class him as elite, really.
Yeah, I think it's having the time of the day, isn't it? I suppose if we had a window of even 3 hours a day, in good light, middle of the day, I think you could easily bump up a lot of mileage, and you could be able to get to different locations within reason. That would be great. I'd love that. But again,
Yeah.
with work, it does occupy that main portion of the day that you'd love to be out there. And typically it's always nice weather when you're at work. You get home, it rains.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. So, but yeah, apparently he was saying today that he was going to be doing up to 140 miles for his current half marathon training block in a week.
For half marathon. Whoa,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
But he's built that up over so many years, and he's a fantastic runner. So
Yeah, and also this is the thing. I was speaking to somebody the other day who's a non-runner, and I was trying to explain to them, look, if I do 20 miles, it might take me 3 hours. A much better, quicker athlete can do it in 2 hours. Therefore, they're out for less time, covering more distance.
yeah, exactly.
If I go out for 30 miles, I could be out for 6 hours. Other people might be out for 4 hours, back in time for lunch. So it's those things as well. How quickly can you get the distance in is another big factor. And if you're just doing general sort of low key, low intensity training, you're not going to be able to cover that distance in the same amount of time.
Yeah, indeed. Regarding kit, Mark's saying as long as everyone carries the same kit, should be okay. Yeah, everyone's got to carry the mandatory kit. You get checked, I believe, at the start. So I'm sure that'll be okay. I don't think it's too bad. Of course, we'll be carrying a bit extra, won't we, Dan? Because we've got cameras and stuff to carry.
That's the thing. Got loads of batteries, and it's trying to again slim down what you need. Although I found my last ultra, the times when I was all alone, talking to the GoPro was actually quite a nice, unusual thing to do. But it's like you just get very comfortable just talking to your hand, more or less. And yeah, I think it'll be good. It's good to document it. There's not many people who have put together any videos on the North Downs Way 50 specifically, and I've tried to binge as many as I can. And it's for future races that we do it as well, not just to look back for ourselves, because it is informative. We try to kind of share the wisdom. So we will be carrying more kit, but the benefits will be the future viewers.
And I think
hopefully get a little bit of value.
I think the other advantage we have is that's not good. It's telling me my internet connection was not stable. No. I think the other advantage we both have is that we do live near part of the course. Yeah, you're kind of on the earlier part of the course, as you sort of videoed the other week, and I'm on the middle part of the course, and so neither of us know the end of the course. And I do want to try. Yeah, I do want to try and get, once lockdown lifts and everything, I will try and get out in that direction. I think just to get a bit of familiarity with it. I think I've seen one video which showed some clips of it, but to be honest, a lot of the North Downs Way looks very similar. But I would like to experience the climbs more than anything, to see what they're like and to see where they are really in relation to everything else, just to get that familiarity.
It's even like the Box Hill steps, which are going to feature. It's sort of one of those things where you log on a Saturday, and then drive to Box Hill, the bottom of it on Sunday, and just walk up and down it twice, and your legs are going to feel it. It's going to be horrible. But when we approach that point, it's probably about 23 miles or so, 24 miles. How will your legs be feeling? That's the advantage of living close to parts of the course, is that you can use them on the days when you would typically maybe resting if you're doing marathon training, and just walk the hills and just take it in your stride and just get a sensation of what that might be like when the legs are really crying at you and telling you to give up.
Ben's saying that you're used to carrying quite a lot because you carried him during the 50k ultra you did with him.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, he's had Christmas since then, so the next time we do it, I'll be carrying even more, won't I? No, he did a good job there. I mean, he paid the price for it, but he did a good job at the time.
Yeah, indeed, and he's doing a good job coming back, recovery now from his injury. So
yeah, the comeback story of the year.
The couch to 5K comeback. But every run I see him doing on Strava is more than 5K. So how does that work?
We've had this discussion. He does the 5K bit in the middle, and then everything around it is the extra he puts in. But also, GoPro, we have to stop, we have to put it down, walk this way, walk that way, make it look like it was just hiding the bush all along.
Indeed, guys. It's great that so many of you have been watching throughout here tonight. If you've got any other questions, do drop them in the chat. Let us know. If you've got a lot of experience at doing ultras and you want to offer us any top tips, then we'd be grateful for those as well. Particularly as, what did you say, Dan? We're a third of the way through the training now, are we?
This week is week 8. So I had a 20-week plan, I think, and week 20 is when it all happens. So we're week 8 this week.
Yeah, so
actually we're approaching halfway.
Yeah, it's going really quick in that respect. Yeah. Guys, okay. If you've got any tips for us, then that would also be great. And if you haven't already, please do hit the thumbs up button, giving that video a like. You all know that's appreciated and helps with the old algorithm. So we do appreciate that. Let's just see what else is being said in the chat. Once the 50 miler is out of the way, do you want to go further? Oh, that's a good question, isn't it? That's from Ben.
Well, you first.
Me first.
You commit to it live on air.
Not for a long time is probably the answer. I mean, if you think about it, what is further than 50 miles? It's 100 miles, isn't it? It's double, which just seems crazy. I don't know. But, if I go back 3 years, would I be thinking that in 3 years' time, I would be doing a 50-mile ultra? Probably not. So I'll never say never. But I think to step it up to 100 milers, I think you'd have to have a number of 50 milers in the bag and feel relatively comfortable at that distance to then go up to 100 miles. I certainly haven't got any plans to do that. I think I'll be doing this 50 miler. And I don't know, the other thing is, why did I pick a 50 miler to do in May 2021? And a large part of that was the fact that I was pretty convinced we weren't going to be doing mass participation type events. Normally I would do a marathon in the springtime, and it didn't seem likely that was going to be an option this year, and it's kind of proven it's not. So that's why I thought, if I've got any chance of doing a race at this point in time, it's probably going to be a trail type race. And if it's going to be a trail type race, then why not do a 50 miler? So I've been out on the course before and filmed. I don't think I've filmed the North Downs Way 50, but I filmed the North Downs Way 100. So I've filmed other races that go on the North Downs Way. So I've sort of seen the races in action, and I thought, well, if any are going to happen, it's going to be that. So that's why I went with the 50 miler at this particular point in time. But I think I will be going down the distances again, going back to marathons and half marathons, etc. after this for a good while, and then see, who knows what the future holds. But that's probably where I'm at. I've maybe one day, but not anytime soon. How about you then, Dan?
Good question. I think what I'd like to do is more trail ultra types, but kind of globally. So there's like the Trans Gran Canaria, I think it's 128k as an example. So there's more focus on elevation and things like that. But what I really liked was, I watched a video recently, only a couple of views on it, minimal subscriber count on the guy's channel, but he was doing the North Downs Way 50 as a training run for the North Downs Way 100 6 weeks later. And I thought to myself, I will do the 100 miler when I can do the 50 as a training run and casually finish it in about 10 hours, and just say, okay, great, see you in 6 weeks. So that is my indicator of whether I'd be ready for 100. So I think for me, I'd like to do what you mentioned briefly earlier. Focus on some shorter distances, see if I can take that base into it, and just add some speed to what I'm doing, and just see what happens. See if I can sort of knock some time off the half marathon. I think would be my focus rather than marathons. I don't know how interested I am in going back to marathon just yet, but half marathons, 10Ks, and just try and beat some of those locals at the park run. If I can beat some of those teenagers, I'll be punching the air, but I think it's going to be a while before I do that.
Yeah,
they're really
indeed.
Quite rapid at the Guildford Park run anyway.
Ben is pointing out, of course, there is 100k. That is a popular distance between 50 miles and 100 miles. And Mark's saying there's plenty of other distances between those. I'm sure there is. But I think for both of us, we're probably going to do this one and then take a step down in the distances before thinking about upping it anymore. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Ben is saying, you beat me all the time, Dan. Does that not count?
No. You've only got one working leg at the moment. It doesn't count. Maybe if I get to 100,000 subscribers, I'll do a 100-miler on my carpet.
Lee is asking about comrades because he's done that in 2009. That looks like it would be a great race. Can't see myself doing it, but you never know.
The marathon I did, the second marathon, Thames Meander, has entry points for the Comrades Marathon, and that's a lovely race. Thames Meander Marathon is a really, really nice race. Kingston to Putney and back again, really, really great, and I'd love to do that again. If I was going to do a marathon, I think I'd pick that one. It's dead flat, and it's just a case of go as quickly as you can and hold on to the end.
Yeah, and I think actually it's a good point. If I was going to go and do a distance above 50 miles, I would probably pick a flat distance. There are some, I think, that run along the Thames that are pretty flat and go above 50 miles. So might look at that in the future. But
if the subscribers want it, Chris, you'll have to do it. If they want the comments now,
you got to give them what they want. So Ben is as he always does, brings up the chaser race. That's of course it wouldn't be a live stream without Ben bringing that one up and asking about when the rematch is going to be. Well, I think there'll definitely have to be a rematch, and I think we are talking about involving more people, maybe yourself, Dan, maybe Ben, maybe some others, and it was a good format. I thought it was quite a good format, so we may well or be doing that at some time in the future once all the lockdown restrictions are out of the way and we can all meet up in the same place at some point in time. I'm sure it will happen.
Yeah, I think a nice sort of or a kind of challenge-based event would be quite good, wouldn't it? Just a few different skills, a few different things which we can all feel like we've maybe got a bit more of a, I'm not sure the word is, a bit of a handicap in our favour, and that'd be quite good. So I'm sure we'll do something in the future when Boris allows us to.
Yeah, indeed. Chamonix. Was lovely. Lee asking? I don't know. I think Lee might have been asking about Chamonix before. I mean, I would love to take part in some of those type of races, but I don't think. Again, I don't think it's any time soon for me personally.
It's also, I think, I might be wrong, but for me certainly, I'd be at work when the event's on, and I wouldn't be able to get the time off work to go. So there's those little things that do restrict what you can do. I mean, this North Downs Way obviously is at the weekend, but I'm at work on Monday. So, I mean, I might be needing some assistance to get in and out of the car, but that's where I'm going to be. It's not a case of feet up for the week and that's that.
Yeah. Ben is saying if we don't do 100 miler, he's unsubscribing.
Okay. Has he sent you a super chat yet then? Any super chats, Ben?
So we might be losing a subscriber.
Okay.
Lee saying 100 miler or all running YouTubers will go on strike. We haven't done a 50 miler
That's
yet.
good.
I don't know why everyone's talking about 100 milers. Come on, guys, get
Yeah,
real.
this will be that. This will be clipped, won't it? This will be used at the start of our 100-mile race in the future. They said they wouldn't do it. Here they are.
Harry's joined us. Hello, Harry. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of a training chat, Harry. If you've just joined, you missed all of it, really. So go back and watch it. There's a really good
Let's
intro.
recap.
Actually, for everyone
Start
that's
again.
see, the trouble is you put a good intro in, and most people don't join for the first 5 minutes, so they miss all the intro. So, guys, if you missed the intro, because there's 16 people watching now, so if you missed the intro, I thought it was really good. Took me about at least half an hour to put it together this afternoon. So go back and watch the intro at least. Ben, what are you doing there? He's giving us another super chat thing. Thank you very much.
That's it. Well done, Ben. Nice. YouTube will take about
We got
80%.
40.
Of that.
40's joined us as well. Hello, 40.
Has he?
Yeah.
Need another Ragnar relay. That's what we need. Get those
Oh yeah,
back started
that was
again.
such a great event. Yeah, that really was. And yeah, that'll be good when those sort of events can take place again.
Before the organised one, that'd be good. Like a YouTuber relay, a few different teams. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Fordy's got the contacts. He's got the clout in the world right now.
Indeed. So Harry's going to rewind. Yeah, definitely rewind. And Lee saying hello to all the Chris's on the that are now involved in this live stream. Right, I don't know. I'm running out of things to say, Dan. What have you got? Anything more that you'd like to bring up regarding training?
No, I just think just for anybody again who's joined late, we're on a mission to complete this thing. It's going to be a tough day out. We're going to do our very best. We're going to document it for everybody who watches it. And I think week by week, we're just making sure we're listening to our bodies and we're doing the best we can with what we've got. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this next number of weeks progresses. And I'm sure with a match of weeks to go, we'll be in a different position altogether. And I'm sure more confident and really ready to tackle it. So I'm excited, really, really excited, and appreciate taking the time just to talk through what we're up to with you. It's really great.
That's great, yeah. We've got the running master here as well. He's been watching quietly, so thank you for joining. We've got Tim. Tim's been watching as well. He says 50 miles will leave you to it. 40's wishing us good luck. Keep up the great work. Thanks, 40.
Thanks, Fordy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and good luck with your marathon training.
He's doing really well.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to wrap it up, Dan. I think there's no more questions coming through. We'll have to do another one of these again soon. I think the next time we're going to be on Dan's channel, so we'll broadcast that maybe in a few weeks or so once training has progressed a little bit. If you've come in towards the end and you want to see some of the chat from early on, we did go through our training and how we've approached it, the challenges we've got, and all that type of stuff. So do feel free to rewind, particularly on the intro that took me half an hour to put together.
I will watch it. I will rewind and watch it.
Yeah, you haven't even seen it yet. So, guys, thanks again for everyone for taking the time this evening to watch it. Dan, do you want to give us a little plug for you've got another live stream tomorrow, haven't you?
Yeah, tomorrow night, myself, Chris, the other Chris, the one that you beat, the slower Chris, the older Chris, him and Ben is in the chat, and we just do a little sort of runners roundup, little podcast thing. So it's just good fun, just general chit chat. So that's over on my channel tomorrow night, 8 p.m.
Great stuff. So, guys, if you want to listen to some more, watch some more running content, and it's probably a bit more banter going on in that one than this one. This was a bit more serious, wasn't it?
No, not at all. No, we just pick on Ben in the other one. That's the thing. There's no third party here to pick on, so we're not going to pick on each other.
Yeah, head over to Dan's channel to tomorrow 8 p.m. Once again, thanks everyone for watching, and have a good rest of your evening. And thanks, Dan, for taking the time to join me tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Look forward to our catch up in a few weeks' time.
Cool. Good night, everyone.